FCRA has certainly been in news. I mean, you read about it in mainstream media, you read about it on social media. There's a lot of fear, etc. But I mean, let's look at it both positively and a little out of concern. The positive side is it's merely a license that you require only if you are going to be receiving money from foreigners. Please understand that right now, as we talk, there are roughly about 20,000 to 22,000 NGOs registered FCRA. This is a minuscule number considering there are lakhs of charities in this country. In fact, income tax also, I mean, much as you may have read the government of India's old statistics, which says there are 3.3 million NGOs in this country. It seems to be quite exaggerated, ask me, because these may also be like giving a registry of everyone who has lived on planet, but not counting death. So that is why, because even if you look at income tax, a few years ago, income tax said that we have about less than 200, that means less than 2 lakh registered organizations under 12A and 80G. So even income tax exemption and deduction, the NGOs having it are less than 2 lakhs. And FCRA right now registered organizations are anywhere between 20,000 to 22,000. The rest don't have FCRA. In the other words, there are enough resources in India. You can tap individual, which is a source we are not tough, in my opinion. I mean, the individual is a big giver. If you will even look at statistics overseas, you will find that the biggest giver is the individual. So crowdfunding platforms are there. You can create online portals. CSR is opening up in a big way. I mean, it seems to be growing year after year from the time it came into force from 2014 to now. Much more. Because the Companies Act is also now insisting that 2% to be spent. You know, earlier on, it away by giving a reason why you could not spend. Excuse me. On. So, I think FCRA is necessary. It will be certainly necessary for you if you are receiving money from a foreign source. Now, this could be some agency situated outside India, or the nuance under FCRA is that it includes individuals and institutions. So even if it is a citizen of a country who's trying to give you money, regardless of the currency, it will be a foreign contribution. And but otherwise, I mean, as I said, the rest of the NGOs don't need it also. In fact, and the people who have gotten into trouble are basically organizations which are of an advocacy nature, of a political nature. Organizations that have been most in the news are organizations like Greenpeace or Amnesty. This is a bit of their activities were anti-national by the government. Now, whether that was seen rightly or wrongly as anti is not for us to determine. I mean, we are professionals. Our job is to say that these are the guys who got into trouble. It's no secret. It's national news. So because Greenpeace was opposing certain activities in mining, etc., the government of India's thinking was that, I mean, why should somebody sitting abroad give you money to fight the government of India? You raise money in India and fight the government of India. That is the logic that people use. So looking at it from a government, after all these years, you're trained to look at things a little more objectively. I suppose even if I was Babu sitting in the government of India's office, I would say, why is somebody sending Holland or Germany to this institution to agitate with the government of India? So it's bound to be now. But if you are a welfare organization, as they like to use the term, running basically a shelter for children, educational institution, health, they don't bother you, you don't, as long as you remain compliant with the requirements of FCRA, such as having a bank account with State Bank of India, New Delhi main branch. You don't spend more than 20% on admin costs from your FCRA money. There's a whole bunch of things. Since your organizations are yet a little not matured from that point of view, they are new startups. So let's not even scare them in all these matters. When they are matured enough to, or I would say emboldened enough to go for FCRA, we will try to. So first of all, I would say that anyone starting first gain experience, volunteer at some other organization, find a job and learn the ropes, because just don't try to think that this is going to be easy. In fact, if you ask me, and governing, running an NGO is far more complex than running a corporate. And I mean it, and I mean it after my 40 years experience in the sector. It is very complex, it is very complicated. So anyone who has I mean, just because it's good to have a dream, it's good to have passion. I'm not taking that away. But take dream and passion first to another organization. You want to work in education, you want environment, you want to work in any particular, there are plenty of NGOs in this country. Volunteer time with them. You might be on their board if you want. You might be a volunteer with them. You might join as a program person. You may join as an apprentice. You may join as whatever. But first, gain a minimum experience. I would say 1 year at least, if not more. I mean, if you could spend 3 years or more, because you will know what it entails, and then try to do. But this is only a suggestion. Having said that, hundreds just feel that, somebody is trying to give me money for this, I'm going to start. Well, if you start on making mistakes, then you get frustrated very easily, because you need to build that experience, is what I feel. Otherwise, if you have gone through some institution providing you training in NGO management and putting you in the field, then then you don't need to do anything. Because let us say you with any of the B schools or other Institute of Social Sciences or anywhere, they will ensure that you have that field experience. You in an NGO, you will learn that. That's a difference. So if you have the necessary qualification, that's fine. But you feel that, now you're with all the corporate training and you are an MBA, and now you'll do some amazing work to change the map of this country by starting an NGO of your own. I've seen these people often fail, unfortunately. So that would be my first thing. Second thing is, yes, the laws governing NGOs are complex, complicated, layered. There are laws at the state level, there are laws at the central level, income tax, FCRA. Just because you are an NGO, you are not exempt from so many things. You are not exempt under even GST. If you buy product, you have to pay GST. If you are a provider of service, if you are a provider of goods made by and if it crosses a certain threshold, you will also have to register as an NGO under GST. TDS will be applicable. People will cut TDS when giving it to you. If there is a works contract they have entered with you, you deduct TDS when you're under. Labor laws will apply. You can say, I'm an NGO, I will not pay fund to my employees. If you have got more than 20 employees, EPF will be mandatory for you. I won't pay gratuity, I'm an NGO. No, it will be applicable to you. Standard HR laws that will apply. Just because you are an NGO, you may like to wear a halo around your head that I'm a do-gooder, but everybody is a do-gooder. A lawyer is a do-gooder also. He's also trying to help his client. A doctor is also a do-gooder. A nurse is also. A sanitation worker is a do-gooder. Make no mistake about that. That humble sanitation worker who's picking up your is the biggest service to this country. So don't think that you're wearing a halo because, I work with an NGO. NGO is a profession. I mean, gone are the days when there were Gandhian movements and people did it out of voluntary. Some of it still remains. But don't try to think that, you're doing somebody a favor. You do yourself a favor. The field has become extremely professionalized, and stay